Okay, let's go ahead and pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for this time we've had, God, just to sing praises unto your name, Lord, as we just reflect on how amazing you are, the grace and the pity that it took for your Son, Jesus Christ, to willingly, Father, come through 42 generations, to willingly, Father, take on human flesh, to willingly, Father, give his life for the sins that we have committed, Father. Lord, as we think back and think on that, how can we not get excited? How can we not feel grateful? How can we not be joyful when we think of how good you are, God? We thank you, Lord, for the sacrifice of your Son. We thank you, Lord, that you immediately thought of a plan of redemption for your children. And Lord, even though we disappoint you time and time again, you still look down at us and claim us as your child.
Thank you, Jesus.
Lord, we give you glory. Father, thank you for being in this place. Oh God, I pray, Lord, that you take me, your humble servant, hide me behind the cross. Lord, decrease me, fill me with your power. Lord, bless me with your anointing so that your people may be blessed. And we'll be careful to give you all the glory, all the honor, and all the praise. And all the saints of God said amen,
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 and amen.
Amen.
So thank you all for joining this morning. I'm so excited. As I think about where we were this time 3 years ago, nervous about everything, but the Lord has blessed us, and you know, and I thought about it, I was like, man, it's just everything went wrong when we had our first service 3 years ago. I lost my contact. Contact was on the floor, I couldn't find it, had to go get help. But the beauty was, by the time I made it out here, I wasn't nervous anymore. So God is good. And good morning, Sister Deidre. So this morning, we are starting, this is clearly from Elder Park, he likes it loud. So, and I am grateful for Elder Parks who covered me here last week and had an opportunity to share in Mississippi at my family's home church, New Foundation. And we had a good time.
Yeah.
And y'all can check it. Yes, and Sean Shalina went with me. That was such a blessing. Feel free to go to YouTube. I mean, 92 or yet. I forgot when you get on there. Go to my Facebook page, and you'll be able to read the sermon. Amen. So this month is June, Father's Day, as promised. This month is about Father's Month, the month of Father's Day. So the series this month is Faithful Fathers. So one, it is not, we're not going to beat the men up. We celebrate the women, we're going to celebrate the men. And we're going to start in the book of Genesis. Genesis means genes. And so I'm going to give you guys a backdrop of where we are, and then we're going to pick up at Genesis 3. But when we talk about it, and as I said the same thing last month when we talked about the women, is that even though it might be focused on the men, fathers or not, it is still something applicable to all of us. And especially when we're talking about people of faith. When we're saying we understand where our faith comes from, and then without faith it is impossible to please God. And so this is, even though it might be geared towards the men this month, this is still applicable to all of us. Amen? So this morning, I have a joke for y'all since I gave y'all a joke for the women. So there was a man who was walking along California Beach and stumbled across an old lamp. He picked it up and rubbed it, and out popped a genie. The genie said, okay, you released me from the lamp, blah, blah, blah. Look, you're the fourth person this week. I'm tired. You only get one wish. The man said, He thought about it. He said, you know, I've always wanted to go to Hawaii, but I'm scared to fly, and I get seasick, so I can't go on the ship. Can you build me a bridge so that I can drive over to Hawaii? And the genie said, are you crazy? Can you think about the logistics? You got the water down deep. You can't get down there and all of that. So no. Pick something else. The man thought about it. He said, you know what? I've been married for 40 years, and my wife always says, I don't understand women. So I would like to know, can you tell me how they think, and can you help me understand women? That's my wish. And the genie looks at him, and he said, would you like 2 lanes or 4 to get to Hawaii? Now, so translation, we might understand at times it can be a little difficult to deal with, but that's your lot in life. We are your blessing. We are your crown. Amen? So even when it seems like women can be a little difficult, because, you know, we will play roles on you. At times we're like, look, I'm the woman. I did this. I did that. You ain't going to tell me what to do. I went to work all day long. I did this. Do you know how important I am at work? And then the next minute we cry. Can you help me? Can you do this? Can you do that? And y'all got to deal with it. because that's your lot in life. You're men, we're women, right? Y'all are blessed to have us. And so today we're going to start out, we're going to talk about Adam. The first Adam, the first man. And he had the ability and the blessing to deal with the first one. Amen? So, let me give you guys a background before I make you stand up, because I hate to see y'all complaining every time I make you stand for a long time. So in Genesis 1:27, on the sixth day God created man. And I wanted to create because we know that we were all pulled out of the dirt. And so God went in and he created everything. Everything else that he created, he spoke it into existence. But when he got ready to create man, he went down into the dirt and he formed man with his hands out of the dirt. And what makes man different from all of the animals? Because animals breathe and they eat just like people do, right? But what makes us different is the fact that God went down and he put his breath in man's body and gave him a soul. We are the only living creatures with a soul. And that's what makes us different. And then God told Adam, he said, I'm giving you dominion over all of the animals. And he allowed Adam to name all of the animals and to name all of the flowers and everything. And what God looked at, every time God made something, he said, it is good. The first thing he did when he said, let there be light. And he looked and he said it was good. When he did the fish and he did the sea, he did the trees, he did everything. Everything that he looked at, he said, it is good. But then he noticed when he did Adam, and Adam named everything, he said, it is not good for man to be alone. And this is something, that's why I say I love the study, good morning, Pastor. I love the study of the Bible because every time you go in there, you get to see something that you never saw before. I never noticed. I remember him always saying it's not good for man to be alone. But the fact that everything else he made, he said it is good. This is the first time God made something that said it's not good. And you think about it, for 6 days he created everything. But now he says it is not good for man to be alone. Because for every animal, there was a male and there was a female. Every single one. But Adam realized he was the only one. And God decided it's not good. So then he comes along, and we go and look at 2 and 7. That's when God formed man and he gave him a breath in his body. So now if you will turn to Genesis chapter 3, and please stand as we give honor to the word of God. Genesis chapter 3. Good morning, the Avenue United Methodist Church. We're going to celebrate today. Genesis chapter 3, we're going to read verses 6 through 13. And since Pastor Porter's here, I'm going to say what her sister used to say. When you got to say, oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Genesis chapter 3, verse 6, please stay in as we give honor to the word of God. And I'll be reading from the King James Version. And the word of God says, and when the woman, so I'm sorry, let me back up. So now we're in the part, we're still in the Garden of Eden. And now, remember God created everything. God created this serpent who was talking. But the problem is, the serpent who was talking was now being used by the devil. And he goes up to Eve when she's there, because remember God had given Adam dominion over everything. And he said, Adam, your job is to work the Garden of Eden. You are allowed to eat and touch anything here, but do not bother the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Everything else is yours, but don't touch the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So now here comes the serpent. We're not reading yet, just listen to me. So here comes the serpent, and the serpent is tricking Eve, and he's telling Eve, if I were you, I'd eat some of that fruit. Now let me say this. The Bible always says apple. It does not say fruit. So that's the problem why you need to read the Bible for yourself and not for other people. It does not say apple. It says fruit. And he said, you should eat it. She said, no, because God said that we shouldn't eat it. And he said, oh, you won't die. Go ahead and eat it. So now we pick up Genesis 3, verse 6. It says, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Somebody say, uh-oh. And the eyes of both of them were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together, and they made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of the Lord and God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord, God amongst the trees of the garden. Verse 9, and the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, who told thee that thou was naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee thou shouldest not eat? And the man said, the woman whom thou gavest me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And the Lord said unto the woman, what is with thou that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. So our series this month is Faithful Fathers. Our subject today is the first Adam. You may be seated. The first Adam. So you may wonder if he's the first Adam, who is the second? It is Jesus Christ. So you don't have to turn to it, but just for your notes, 1 Corinthians 15:45 says, and so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul, and the last Adam was made a quickening spirit, talking about Jesus Christ. So we know that Adam was the first man who was created. And here's my Hebrew, because I learned some in school. So I'm going to tell y'all what Adam means. Adam comes from the Hebrew word Adama, and it means ground, and Adam means earthman. Earthman. I did a series on Bible study. Feel free to check it out on Facebook, go through our videos. But I did one where we talked about the fact that we can prove that man was created out of dirt. If you look at all of the things, those who take daily vitamins, if you go and you look on the back of the daily vitamins, it lists all of these things, magnesium and zinc and iron and all of that. And if you go and you Google what are the properties of dirt, you will see some of those same elements. Because whatever you take something out of, it has to keep it in order to live. If you take a fish out of water, it will die. If you take a tree out of the dirt, it will die. So whatever it was created in, it has to maintain in order to live. We get sick. If your iron gets low, your magnesium, your zinc, and so what do? We take these nice vitamins to keep us healthy. So we were created out of the dirt. But we had a problem. Everything was perfect in the Garden of Eden. God provided everything, and there wasn't even any rain. God would just send down a little mist, that he would keep everything nice and fresh. And he said, Adam, this is your home. You can have anything here, but he said, your job is to work the land. Your job is to work and till the land and make sure everything is still growing, and you feel free to eat all of the fruits and vegetables that you see. And we know that the animals did produce, and so he ate some of the animals, and everything that he needed was right there. God said, everything is good. He said, Adam, I only have one thing. Do not touch the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Everything else you can have. Here's where we mess up, saints. You look at all the stuff you have, and instead of focusing on that, we look at the one thing that we can't have. You've been given everything, free dominion over it all. And the enemy comes and says, if I were you, I'd eat from that tree. If I were you, I'd find out if I could be just like God. If I were you, I'd taste that fruit. That's the beginning of the end. Our newly married couple, you can look at all the beautiful people. It's always going to be somebody finer. It's always going to be somebody sexier. It's going to be somebody richer, somebody younger, somebody whatever. But God says, I gave you the best. Focus on what I gave you instead of looking at all the stuff that you don't have. And that's where we mess up, right? Because how could the enemy trick Eve to eating that one thing? It was because she took her eyes off of everything else that she had. Because remember, when God created Adam, he said it wasn't good for man to be alone. God performed the first surgery. He laid Adam down. He put Adam to sleep. That's anesthesia. And then he went and cut Adam on the side. That's called surgery. He removed the rib, sewed Adam back up, and Adam woke up. Unlike me from surgery, he had no pain. He was feeling good. He presented Eve to Adam, and he said, here is your helpmeet. Here is your helper, not your slave. Here is your helper. Here's your helpmeet. And Adam looked at her and said, whoa, man, that looks good. And she is a woman. She was taken out of man. And she's named Eve, the mother of all. Adam had everything that he needed. Eve had everything that she needed. Adam was going to work. She would help her husband work. They wanted for nothing in the garden. But instead of being content, their eyes went to what they weren't allowed to have. So the serpent comes and he says, slippery little serpent, and he entices her. Here's the thing, saints. If we keep our eyes focused on what we have been given, sorry, I don't know what's going on. I can't turn it down from here. If we take our eyes off of what God has given us, because the truth of the matter, we're all blessed. I say it all the time in my prayer. Thank God that we didn't sleep on the bridge last night as a rock on a pillow. We got up in the morning, we got the ability to choose what we want to eat. We got to choose what we wanted to wear. We even got to drive up in a car. All of that. And then we can focus on all the stuff that we don't, I wish I had a better car. Somebody would be grateful for that car. Oh, I wish I had a better house. Somebody would love to have a house.
Yes, Lord.
And so the enemy can trick us by making us turn from what we have to focus on what we don't have. And that's where we went wrong. So here's the thing, saints. The fall of man, when does it take place? If you read in the scripture, it was not when Eve ate of the fruit. There was no sin. There was no falling. Yes, she was disobedient to God. But when did the fall of man, when did sin enter? Sin entered when Adam ate thereof. Why? Why was it sin then? Because the man ate. Glad you asked. It was sin because God told the man, don't eat the fruit. Eve wasn't created when God told her. Eve knew what her husband told her. So Eve knew the rules. That's why when the enemy came and said that you could eat from the fruit, she said no. Eve knew she wasn't supposed to eat from the fruit because her husband, who was supposed to be the priest in the home, did his job and said, baby, we can't eat from this tree because God said we can eat anything but that. And so here was the one time he did what he was supposed to do, right? Here was the problem. Eve was beautiful, and Eve came and said, honey, look at this fruit. I tasted it, and it was good. Now, a man of faith, our covering, should have said no. God said we don't eat that fruit. And that would have been the end.
That's right.
But what happened? He got a little weak.
Yeah.
Because his wife was fine. And she said that fruit was good. And he ate. And that is when sin entered the world. Not the woman, but the man.
Yes.
So when we say how much we need men, it is because you are supposed to be our covering. We are your helpmates. Remember, we're here on your side, we ain't in the back. We're right here on your side. But the man is supposed to be the covering. He is the one. It is God, the man, the woman, and children. And even if the woman is in the boardroom, you're still looking for a husband to lead. You're still looking for a man to step up. The fall happened when the man sinned. Our series is Faithful Fathers. So we can say, why are we talking about Adam? Adam jacked up everything. There is sin in this world, and it's his fault because we ain't blaming Eve, right? We don't even know.
That's right.
Everybody always blame the woman. I said, well, go back and read your text. When did the Lord say that sin entered the world? It was when the man ate thereof. Because it was the man who was given the instructions. What do y'all do as parents? When you talk to the oldest child, you say, while I'm gone, don't answer that phone, don't answer that door, don't go outside, don't do this, don't do that. You come home, the house is a wreck, somebody been inside, and what do? You don't get mad at the little one, because they're going to blame the little one. Who did you put in charge? Who did you give instructions to? Because I gave instructions to you. So God gave instructions to the man. Eve did not exist. And so the change happened when Adam fell and succumbed to his wife and ate the fruit thereof. Now when you go back and read the text, when God created Adam and Eve, it says that they were naked, but they did not have any shame. If you think about little kids, they're 1 year old, they'll run through the house naked, they have no shame, they think nothing of it. The shame comes when we get older and we realize we got to cover stuff up, right? So that's how Adam and Eve was. There was no shame. If you go and you look at other cultures, when they have them on TV, a lot of them have very little clothes on, just like in the biblical times. Why? Because there was no shame in the body. But when you bring in, introduce sin, and you bring in all of that, all of a sudden we're very shameful about everything that goes on with us. So now that they have sinned, their eyes are open. So it's not literal of their eyes are open, now they're aware. Kind of like with a child. A child becomes aware the older they get, and the more they learn. And that's when we start to see children start doing different things, right? Then they start covering up different things. We don't cover girls up until what? Till they start to develop, and then you got to put a shirt on. Why? Because we become shameful, we become aware. I always laugh. The Bible's funny if you ever like really read it. That they were hiding from God. God is omniscient, meaning all-knowing. So what you hiding from? He already knew Eve ate from the apple. He already knew that Adam ate from the apple. Why do you think he showed up? So here it comes. It's called theophany, which is another good word, the presence of the Lord. So here's God coming. And they said, we gotta hide. So they got their little fig leaves on. Eve got hers covered, Adam got his covered. We're gonna hide back here, and he ain't gonna see us. So God, all-knowing, all right, I'm gonna play along. Adam, where art thou? And Adam says, we hid ourselves. And he said, why? Did you eat from the tree of good and evil? Eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Well, think about the tree of knowledge of good and evil, knowing the difference. Because children come here innocent. They don't know what's good or bad. You learn that in life. So when they ate the fruit, now all of a sudden they're aware of evil, of bad. And here's the thing, when sin entered the world, so did death. That's right. So he says, what you hiding for? He said, because we're naked. Now it's funny because they have the fig leaves on. Prior to the eating of the fruit, there were no fig leaves and there was no nakedness. But now that they've eaten of the fruit, there is nakedness and a reason to hide. What do we do when we sin? We hide from God. We quit coming to church. We stop praying. Because God, I messed up, so I'm just going to go back here and hide so you can't see me. It was that John Cena, the wrestler, you can't see me. And God says, I see it all. And here's the thing, saints. The reason that God came to Adam is the same reason he comes to us. Sin is a separation from God, but God's desire to have a relationship with us. So even though you messed up, even though you dropped the ball, even though you did what I told you not to do, I still love you. I'm still going to bless you. I'm still going to take care of you. Why? Because I still love you. So as a faithful father, you have to be willing to say, you know what? Here's the thing, wife. I messed up. Here's the thing, kids. I messed up. But I'm not going to give up. All right. I'm not going to walk out. Because if you read the story of Adam and Eve, you never read that Adam left. You never read that they got divorced. You never read that the relationship was over. You didn't read that even though there was a problem. Because can you imagine Adam going, why you eat that fruit and bring it to me? Because you can understand that now that God has shown up, now that God has attested there's a problem, now it becomes the blame game. Because God knew the moment that the Satan showed up in the snake, he knew that the moment he showed up, he knew Eve was going to eat. He knew Eve was going to present it to Adam, and he knew that Adam, the first man, was going to partake. Now, any good parent says you deserve a good punishment. Any good parent is going to say, we're not just going to let that go by. Because I love you, therefore I'm going to correct you. Because no parent is going to let bad behavior continue. So God says, all right, Adam, you ate, and I told you not to. So then he asked him, so Adam, this is my favorite part. When he asked Adam, I didn't skip this part, but he asked Adam, what happened? You know I told you no one couldn't be true. What happened, Adam? And Adam, the good, faithful man that he was, the first man, the example for all of us, and all of y'all good husbands, Adam said, God, that woman that you gave me. Because see, God, I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask for a wife because I didn't know what a wife was. I didn't ask for another woman. You put me to sleep. Cut me. Pulled out my rib like I didn't need it. Sewed me back up. Put that rib in the dirt. And created this woman. And I know I was excited when I got it. I'm not denying it. I know I was excited when I got it. However, if you didn't give her to me, I would have eaten the fruit. So, it wasn't power. How many of us pass the buck when it really is our fault? It's easier to blame somebody else instead of saying, it was I. So what is Eve? The first woman. First beautiful woman. Remember, he looked at her, whoa, man. Eve, what happened? You ate the fruit. You knew you weren't supposed to eat the fruit. And Eve, being a good woman as she was, Lord, it was a serpent. I wouldn't have even considered it if he didn't present it to me. What do we do when we're dealing with temptation? Everybody is going to deal with temptation. The question is, how do you respond? What did I say? Within relationships, there's always somebody skinnier, prettier, younger. There's men who are richer. You can say, ooh, his car flashes and all of this kind of stuff. It's always going to be out there. You're never going to be the ultimate. Even when you listen to supermodels, I've listened to them be interviewed, and they are they point out their flaws and things. When other people say, remember when Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce, and everybody, if I had her, I would never cheat on her. Yes, you would. If you're a cheater, you're a cheater. Because the problem is, back to what I said, instead of looking at everything that we have, we turn to the one thing that we know. And that is when temptation turns from temptation to the fall.
That's right.
And every day, every single one of us have a decision to make.
That's right.
Am I going to keep focused on all that the Lord has blessed me with?
Yes.
Or am I going to allow the world to tell me I'm missing out because here's one thing I don't have? And you have people always striving. I got to have a job. I got to be making more money. I got to have a bigger house. I got to have a bigger car. I got to get a younger spouse. I got to get, you got to be packed with the six-pack and all that kind of stuff. And every time the world comes up and says, this is what you should have. But just wait for the next commercial, because then it says, this is what you should have. What do they do around Christmas time? They have the best toys ever. And they're telling the kids, you gotta have it. Tell your mama and daddy, you gotta have it. Do you want happiness? Do you want joy? You gotta get this one thing. But God says, I gave you the best of all, and if you focus on the good, then you'll never turn around and look at this over here.
All right.
God gave Adam everything he needed. He even blessed him with a woman, and that is the cream of the crop. Creme de la creme. When you get us, you get it all. And instead of being content, he allowed the temptation to come in, and then he yielded to the temptation. And then Eve first yielded, and then Adam. And then they both pointed fingers, and nobody wanted to take responsibility for the fall. Nobody wanted to admit, God, I messed up. But saints, if we're really saying, I want a strong relationship with God, I want to be a faithful father, if we're saying, I really want to be a mighty man of God, if we're saying that we really want a better relationship with Christ, and this is for women as well, then we have to be willing to say, I messed up.
That's right. That's right.
Just like they say, meekness is strength, because my flesh may want to respond in a certain way. I tell people all the time, and I say, don't think I forgot to curse, I just choose not to.
Yeah.
But the words didn't run away. The strength is in me not responding to you the way that I used to. That's the strong part. It's easy to just get mad and respond out of anger. It's easy to just get mad and tell somebody, but the strength is saying, no, my relationship with Christ is more important. No, I'm not going to yield to that temptation. No, I'm not going to fall by the wayside. And for a man, we talk about faithful fathers. It takes a lot for y'all to admit you're wrong. But if you want a better relationship with Christ, because a man loves a woman as he loves Christ, so you got to get your relationship with Christ right first. So if you want that better relationship with Christ, you have to be open and honest. Adam hid himself because of his sin, but God knew about his sin anyway.
Yes, Lord. Yes,
So you may as well confess your sins to God anyway. Because I say it all the time, how do you build a relationship with anybody? You talk. And you spend time with them. So how do you build a relationship with God? You talk. And you spend time with him. And you read his word.
that's right.
So God says, I already know you messed up. I'm just waiting for you to come and tell me. And if you say that doesn't sound sensible, think about yourself as a parent. You already know your kid did wrong. You can look at their face and tell they ate all the chocolate. But what do? You ask them anyway, did you eat the chocolate? What did they do? Chocolate all over their face, chocolate all over their finger? I didn't eat it. And that's in essence what Adam did. God knew Adam ate of the fruit. God knew Eve ate of the fruit. But he asked him anyway, did you eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Adam never answered the question. He just said, it was her. Eve never answered the question. She said, it was his son. But if we want a true, authentic relationship with God, we have to be willing to say, yes, I ate it. Yes, I succumbed to the temptation. It wasn't the end of the world for Adam and Eve. And it won't be the end of the world for us.
That's right. That's right.
Because what God did, we didn't read the text, but what God did immediately, when we talk about the first Adam, immediately he had a plan of redemption for man. Immediately he told the snake. He said that man, the woman's seed will crush her head. But he said that the seed, that the snake would bite back. So what does that mean? We'll still deal with temptation. We'll still deal with sin. But when he said that he's going to crush that snake's head, how do you kill a snake? You crush his head. So he's letting us know the second half is going to defeat the enemy.
That's right. That's right.
He put Adam and Eve out the garden. Pack up all your stuff. Get up all your fig leaves. Get up all your little stuff. Because y'all wouldn't have out here. I gave you everything that you wanted. You threw it back up in my face. Now I'm still going to love you. I'm still going to bless you. But get out. Put an angel right there with a flaming sword. You ain't coming back up in here. What y'all do, you put your kids out when you're 18. You're 18, you're wrong, you're making your own decisions. Get on up out of here. And don't even turn back around.
Don't come this way.
But God continued to bless Adam and Eve.
Yes, indeed.
So when we talk about a faithful father, it is one acknowledging that you're not perfect and continue to have a relationship with Christ. What is it? Christ, man, woman, children. I'm not going to talk about submission, but y'all always want women to submit. You need to submit to the Lord first because it is God man, woman, children.
That's right.
That's
That's
the side. Here's your points. As I always say, the monkey will thank me later. Point number one, no one is immune. I don't care how super saved you are. I don't care if you live in a pulpit. I don't care if you live in a White House. All of us are subject to temptation. No one is immune. I don't care if you got saved 2 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever.
Amen.
The enemy is going to come after everybody. So don't think that you won't have to deal with certain temptations. As we grow, there are some things that aren't tempting anymore. I've shared a lot of my testimony. There's a lot of things that now I don't even consider anymore. I told you now, I stub my toe, I say, ouch, praise God, that is deliverance. It's not what I used to say before. But now the thought of it doesn't even cross my mind to say the curse words anymore. So, okay, I may not be tempted to curse, but he just says, oh, I'll come up with something else. What's a temptation for a child is different than an adult.
That's right.
And so all the enemy, if you read it, he said he's very crafty.
Yes.
Remember we talked about the wiles of the devil, the different ways that he comes to attack us. So all he says is, oh, I didn't get you on Monday with that. That's how I got you back on Tuesday. Sometimes the joke will show back up on Monday night. No one is immune from temptation. No one is immune from sin.
That's right.
So don't think that I'm saying, whew, I'm good. But understand that you must be alert, you must be aware, and understand that the enemy comes after all of us. No one is immune. Point number two, faithfulness is a must. None of us are going to have a successful relationship with God without faith. You have to believe that God is who he says he is. You have to believe that God is going to do what he said he was going to do. Our theme is Philippians 1:6. He that began a great work in you will complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. You have to believe that he will. You have to believe that God sees something in you that no one else does. When everyone else says they're a throwaway, they're a reject, you're just as sorry as your mama was, you're just no good like your daddy, you have to believe, no, God said I'm better. God said I'm different. God said he sanctified me. God said he loves me. God said he put a promise in me. So I don't care what anyone else says. I care what God says. The saints, you have to have faith in God. And even when, just like I shared with this church, that it was hard for me because in the physical, I didn't see what he was showing me in the spiritual. My flesh said, focus on the physical. My spirit said, focus on what he showed you, the vision. There were times that I yielded to my flesh. But then God said, I created you to be better. I created you to be stronger. So then I had to rise up in my spirit and focus on the vision. But you don't get that without faith.
That's right.
None of us are going to make it on our jobs, in our marriage, raising children, or anything without faith. I said it before, so without faith it is impossible to please God. Point number three, the first Adam. I'm grateful that God did not give up on man. I'm grateful that God made a way of redemption. I'm grateful that he sent his one and only begotten son to pay for our sins. Jesus, the second Adam, our Savior, suffered a death that none of us could even imagine. But he willingly did it because faithful fathers need a faithful Savior. At any time, Jesus could have gotten off of that cross. At any time, Jesus could have said, well, turned out to be a little harder than I thought. But he didn't. We have an example. And all through the month, we're going to talk about different faithful men. And we have examples of how to deal with things because even though Adam yielded to his wife because she yielded unto the serpent, Adam and Eve still stayed together. And you can say they were the only people there, but remember, Adam spent time by himself. But he never put her away. That's a King James version when they talk about divorce, putting someone away. He never put her away. And even though there was trouble in the marriage, they stuck together. And even the first two kids he had, one came killed later. Adam and Eve still stuck together. So what's my point of that? We're all going to have good days. We'll have bad days. We're going to have days of yielding to sin. When we say, ooh, I will never do that again. God, if you get me out of this, I promise. Let the next week something come back. Golly. Father, I stand. None of us are perfect. We're all going to say and do things wrong to others and unto God. And the way to restore the relationship is through repentance. Repentance is I was heading down this way of sin, and I turned around and got back right with God. Repentance is turning from your wicked ways, turning from your evil ways, and getting back to obeying God. So my message for the first Adam is that it wasn't over. God had a second Adam. And Eve didn't leave her husband. Even though he should have said, woman, we ain't eating that fruit. So be the example that God has called you to be. The first Adam wasn't perfect, but he was faithful. And we rejoice because the second Adam is coming back to redeem his people. So here's my message for the men, and really for all of us. Proverbs 5:7, trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Because I'm going to tell you, we see the evilness in this world. Black men have the biggest target on them more than anyone else. But we need y'all. We need y'all. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding in all your ways. Acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. The first Adam, he messed up, but that's okay. We love y'all anyway. And all of us are waiting on the second Adam to come back and redeem us. Amen? Amen. Let's give God a hand clap of praise. And I'm so excited to see Miss Jeanette and Donovan and the twins.